What's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Let's go ahead and jump right into this topic today. So the Van Gogh Pikachu. I thought I was wrong about it. I honestly thought I maybe got misinformed. But it turns out tons of stores are getting the Van Gogh Pikachu. Big box stores in the Netherlands are getting the Van Gogh Pikachu. And it's my theory, and it's been my theory, that this card is going to dump. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? You guys have been wanting to get this card. Sorry, I probably should have referenced the card here that we're talking about. The little Pikachu with the gray felt hat. Van Gogh Museum collaboration with Pokemon. Okay, you guys get the idea. That card went crazy on the release. A lot of you guys already know this. This is old news to you. What may not be old news is that we were actually right in our predictions on this thing is going to dump, and people are going to be able to get this card easily. I never believed that a free promo should have been so scalped, so heavily upcharged. People made an absolute killing, and they already made a killing, right? The bandits already made off with a bunch of collectors' money. I assume, like, the wild guess, but I assume like 10% of everybody in this hobby probably overpaid on these Pikachu cards. I honestly believe that a lot of people ended up overpaying on these Pikachu cards, and that's okay. That's okay. I think in the long term, like when people ask, but Ryan, what do you think about the Van Gogh? What do you think about the Van Gogh Pikachu overall? How do you think it's going to do overall? I'm not in this for an investment. I like the card, so I tried to get 2 copies of them. I'd like to get more copies for bottom dollar, for cheap, because I like what they represent. They represent Van Gogh and his artwork and his origins from the Netherlands, and so it's really great. At first, I didn't understand why the Netherlands was getting all these cards. Stupid me, because Van Gogh is from Netherlands, so it's rightfully so that they would get their fair share of these cards flooding in. Now, right now, the most recent sale for the Van Gogh Pikachu is around $100. Now, I did see some sales at $90. Now, we also have to be worried about fakes as well. But for the most part, I think that there are legit copies being sold at $90. Now, there was a fat shipping charge on that. My guess is because they're coming from Europe. There was like a $16 shipping charge on it, but I do wonder, does that $90 sale price, does that mean soon we're going to see sales on eBay in the States? Once these cards start flooding over, people steal them, there's still going to be some kind of fraudulent activity going on with this card. I'm sure of it. People are going to hoard them and send them over to the States, and then we're going to see this card really dump hard. On TCG Player, I think it's $100 for the card, which again, I think is a pretty hard bargain on the card. I think around $50 to $70 is where this card really should be. And eventually maybe even $25 to $30, but it really depends on how many of these get dumped into the market. Now, if you look on the eBay price chart, you can see that it kind of goes up and then wham, it falls down. I think there was an average selling price of around $150 to $180. And now, all of a sudden, it is dirt cheap. This is exciting, guys. For those of you that weren't able to get this card, this is exciting. This gives you a chance to snag this really cool special promo that really defines the year, in my opinion, for a very reasonable price. I would dare to say that this card was the most important card of 2023. So many people making content about it. We're still milking content about it. I love saying that. We're milking the content out of this card. But we really are. It's just fun to talk about because it's probably the craziest thing that happened in this hobby really since the bubble hype era, right? There's been a lot of stuff going on. There's been a lot of fraudsters and debacles with the grading companies, as there pretty much always are. People taking pre-orders that they shouldn't on certain sets, and other TCGs. A lot of hype in the TCG space in general. I know One Piece has been blowing up. MetaZoo has gone down in a dumpster fire, even though I still think there's going to be a large amount of collectors out there that still collect MetaZoo. Even after it's discontinued, I think there's still probably going to be some kind of market for it. But yeah, a lot of stuff happening. Magic getting run down by Hasbro. Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of, I think, still maintaining some relevancy. I didn't have a lot of traction on the Yu-Gi-Oh collection video I did, which tells me that less people are collecting Yu-Gi-Oh than ever. But I still love my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. But anyways, yeah, a lot of stuff happening in the TCG space as a whole. But I want to say that this Pikachu with gray felt hat release was the most controversial release, most dramatic release that we've had in a while. And so it's kind of fun to talk about. People made an absolute killing on these cards. They were grading these things, getting PSA 10s. They were grading dozens, 15, 20, 30 of them, getting 10s, selling those bad boys for $700 or plus a pop. And people were making thousands of dollars off of this card. I'm not going to knock the hustle. Whatever your hustle is what your hustle is. If you're one of the scalpers, it is what it is. But there were a lot of plays to be made with this card. And if you're asking, well, Ryan, do you still think there's a possibility that there's plays to be made with this card? I don't want to be investment preachy on this channel all the time. I do think that the Pikachu with gray felt hat is going to be an iconic card for the rest of time, though, regardless whether it's $30 or $50. I just think that's going to show a lot of value in the card for picking more of them up. Now, if you just want this card for the hype, I would not grab it because we really don't know what's going to happen with this card. It really could just burn in price. Really could get dumped on the market hard. That's what we're seeing right now. I'm going to make a hot take that that's what's about to happen, that it's about to get dumped in the US hard. But we just don't know. If there are enough fans that love this card that are willing to hold on to it for the long term, maybe $100 is the floor, maybe 90 or 80 is the floor, and even I would say 80 is probably a good price to pay for this card. But again, patience is key here. Everyone who's been patient with this, and patient in this hobby in general, usually pays off. Occasionally we get blindsided and sets take off quickly, but a lot of that is because, these main sets become out of print, and they just start to trickle up in value. But stuff like this, it's a little harder to say. Seems like it's going to be a lot more volatile. But I think with Pokemon, in my opinion, cooling off a little bit more, I think more people are trying to figure out what to do with their collections right now. People are, and this will be for another topic, but I want to talk about, when the right time might be to sell your cards, because I had some questions on that, some comments on that. And typically I talk about, do I think these sets are good to buy right now? In no means do I think there's ever a time where I'm like, you need to buy this now. It's about to take off. The train is leaving the station without you. No, we're not going to do that. But I do think I talk about sets that I believe in or that I like, that I would buy into, and not enough of when should you sell this set? When should you let go of this set? When should you take a healthy profit on this set? I think that could be a little bit more important because a lot of people they do have gains on a lot of the sets that they've held on to. And maybe it's time to not be so greedy and take whatever those gains are and sell. I'm not saying that it's up to the moon, but I'm also not saying that it's a great time to sell either. But it's a topic that I do want to talk about. So we are going to get into that here shortly. I'll probably do that video maybe tomorrow unless something else pops up. But the Van Gogh seemed pretty pressing. We'd had some more leaks a week or two ago about Van Gogh, but I did not want to touch base on this topic until I saw proof that people were getting this card around the world and to see the sales drop over in Europe. And that was all the proof that I needed for Van Gogh Pikachu. Again, this is an important card to me. Pikachu is one of my favorite Pokemon, as is many of the people in the hobby. It is the mascot of the hobby. And it's just a really cool card. So I'm happy for you guys. If you are looking at this, I would rejoice because I think you're going to be able to get this card for a really good price. Again, $30 to $50 is where I'm thinking it's going to end up falling. I know this is going to upset probably a lot of people, but you have to understand that no one knows what's going to happen with this stuff. And maybe I'm wrong. If you bought this well over $100, then my gosh, I hope that this sustains, $80, $90, $100 area and then starts trending up. It probably will do that if people are really stubborn about letting this card go, right? But everyone's only going to pay what this card is worth. That's the main thing that, I would try to stress here is that everyone's only going to pay what they think this card is worth. And if people don't believe that this card is really worth the $100 anymore, especially with all the new waves of this card coming in, then they're not going to pay that. And so it is what it is. It's going to be a waiting game. It's going to play out for the next couple weeks. But this is probably going to be a card that I always do coverage on over time, because I always look at it on my shelf and I'm reminded of it. Shout out to the homies for letting me know that this was up so that I could go and snag this when it released. You know exactly who you are. Because of you, I was able to get my copy, along with a Brilliant Stars booster box and a Silver Tempest booster bundle, which we opened that bundle. It did not fare too well, but I was still able to get the card for free, so that was nice. At the end of the day, why is it worth anything if it was a free promo? Yes, it's very special, but now with all the new promos coming into the market, might not be so special. It's very important to remember that this was thrown in with your stuff if you ordered on PokemonCenter.com. Now, I do want to say, if this was exclusively, if this card was exclusively kept in the museum, there's no way that, if people had to get it through the museum, there's no way that the price wouldn't be astronomical. There's no way. But that just wasn't the case. They did a huge printing on Pokemon Center. Some people got more than one copy in a box. Some people got dozens of copies. Some people got a bunch of orders in. This card is everywhere, and they just did a massive dump in Europe. So I think it's safe to say that it's going to trend lower. But who knows? I'm no expert on the hobby. It'll be interesting to hear what you guys think of the whole Van Gogh Pikachu situation. Crazy that we are still talking about it. But the last video I made on it, I said that I was right. I was right about something finally. But I really didn't have all the facts, and that's something that I have to refrain from doing, is jumping in on content before I have all the information. I think we do have all the information now. But I would even dare to say that I was right in terms of, I was right in terms of more of these being distributed, but what difference does it make if everyone is still paying a premium on it? It doesn't really solve the problem. So I want to see the problem be solved. I want to hear people that are able to snag this for even less and get good deals on it. That's pretty much all I have to say on this card. Another thing is, and we'll talk about this probably tomorrow, but the markets can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. That's been a long time investment saying, probably from Warren Buffett, but regardless who it's from, I think it holds true in a lot of markets, including Pokemon. I think that by saying that, a lot of people, and I will reiterate this probably tomorrow, but a lot of people feel like everyone is hoarding on these cards. There's so many copies. There's an abundance out there of everything. And so that's going to hurt the value of stuff long term. I wouldn't worry about that as much, or reprints as much, because Pokemon has done a really good job over time, of how much they print, and stuff still going up in value. Even Sword and Shield, with the massive numbers of printing, it's still going up in value. I would just say that with that phrase that I just said, it really comes down to how long can you hold on to your product, really? How long can you sit with your heavy bag of Pokemon cards, right? Because if you have money to the side and savings, and Pokemon is really more of a hobby and off to the side, then you're good. But if you're looking at Pokemon as truly an investment vehicle, that's where it gets tricky, because, all it takes is for the rest of people to decide, what, stock market's doing well, my money market account is doing well, my options for CD rates are doing well, and it's safe, right? I do believe in life. This is why the Van Gogh Pikachu is a great example of, taking risks for the rewards. I do think it can do better than a traditional investment vehicle, but at the same time, you got to be real with people, and I don't want people watching this channel to think that Pokemon is this amazing investment vehicle when there are plenty of other investments and traditional investments that you can make where you're not really going to lose your money. For me, it's also a part of content, so I feel like it's a different ball game for me. I don't feel like I'm inclined to really sell or let go of anything in a hurry. But I think that the average collector does have that dilemma a lot. And we're probably going to, I bring this up all to say that this is probably what's in store for tomorrow's discussion. I'm looking forward to that because I think that'll be interesting, talking about the selling side of everything. You can only accumulate so much to a point where you decide, like, okay, I've got so much stuff in my game room, let's say, like, I need to start trimming the fat here. And I had some really good influences that allowed me to trim a ton of fat. When Collecticon came to Charlotte, I trimmed a ton of my collection down. And it feels good. Like, I regret some of it because I am kind of a hoarder. I do like to hoard Pokemon cards, but especially because I don't feel like I really, really need the money that badly. I would honestly, in a lot of cases, rather have the collectibles than the money. But that's not the entire market. And the same can be said for the Van Gogh Pikachu. If more people want to cash out and just say, you know what, better late than never. I'd rather take $100 for my free Van Gogh Pikachu promo than watch it go down to $30 a card. This is really important, guys, because if you're holding this card and you don't really care about it, and this is not a diss to people that bought the card because it's hype, okay? The card, almost everything that gets hyped up in this hobby, people buy it for no reason, right? I fully expect that. And, like, there's nothing wrong with being a hype beast, okay? I've done it with sneakers. I still do it with Pokemon cards. The Latios GX from Sun and Moon. I didn't need that card. That was a hype beast card. That's why I traded for it, because it was a hype beast card. Was I searching for it because I loved the card? Not necessarily, but the card is still doing very well to this day. And that's awesome. And, that's not the case with the Van Gogh Pikachu. I genuinely, love this card. But it's not very special looking, but I like the design on it. I wish that it had more texture or was hollow, but honestly, part of me likes it more that it's not hollow. It's more like a canvas painting. Maybe if they would have had some kind of gloss on it, that could have looked really good to give it more of a canvas painting touch. But guys, this is something that you're really going to have to ask yourself. If you really don't, this is probably maybe one of the most helpful parts of this video. If you're not a crazy fan of this card, look at this card long and good. If you have it at home, give it a long, good look and say, do I need this card? Is this a card that I have to have in my collection, or would I rather just have the cash and roll it into a card that I really, really like? Something vintage. $100 is nothing to sneeze at, especially if you got the promo for free ordering something else that you like on Pokemon Center. Or if you have duplicates. I don't know. I'm worried for a lot of people that did get a free promo and could get the money on it. I don't know. It could be a really good time to just sell the card, take the cash on it, roll that into something else maybe before the card ends up going to $30 a card, $20 a card. I'm not saying that's going to happen, and I know that might upset some people, but more and more on this channel, I want to be as transparent as possible and give you guys my thoughts on what potentially could happen. I don't always like it. I don't always like the truth that I might say, but the same goes for some of my most prized possession cards. I'm seeing the market kind of dip on those cards too. So it's not like it's just like, oh, you should dump this card. I want the market to dump on this card. I'm going to buy tons of gray felt hat Pikachus. Not really. But it is good to be transparent. Anyways, I hope you guys got something out of this video. Appreciate you guys. Anyways, peace out. I'll see you guys tomorrow.